We are pretty darn blessed, wouldn't you agree? So, I've heard that there is a concern from some people, people talk to me about different things, and they have a concern that our teaching, which is called the science of mind, don't get it mixed up with Scientology or anything like that, they're concerned that our teaching doesn't allow for a personal relationship with God, because we're very law-based. I talk a lot about the law of cause and effect, the law of circulation, the law of reciprocity. And when you talk about law, it doesn't really give you that warm, fuzzy feeling that you think about when you think that you know God on a personal basis. Is anybody relating to this at all? Yeah. That what we talk about so much is that we have the power of our thoughts to create and to manifest our life, and we don't talk that much about connection and faith. So you know me, when people tell me things, I think about them and I ask myself the question, is that true? Do we neglect a personal relationship in favor of the law? And the answer is, possibly. Now let me tell you what I mean by that before you guys all get freaked out. When I think about having a personal relationship with God, I think about the big guy up in the sky, right? You know the guy I'm talking about, right? Long flowing white beard, long flowing gown. It looks a little bit like Gandalf, but bigger, And this kind of God is very patriarchal. This kind of God is very much of a father figure, right? And you know what? This image, maybe not Gandalf, but this image of God works for a lot of people. It's real comforting to think that there is this loving and personal and kind of benevolent deity that is watching out for our best interests. I can understand why this guy is really popular. But then there's the other kind of sky god. The guy of the Old Testament. Looks kind of the same, but this guy, boy, is he cranky, right? He'll kill people. He'll send floods for 40 days and 40 nights. He'll send snow in September in Calgary. Locusts and people, this is not a guy to mess with, right? So when somebody has a personal relationship with this guy, with this God, chances are they've been brought up in a fear-based religion. One that believes in an arbitrary God who might like you one day and punish you the next. Those are the people, I don't know if you guys had these up in Canada, we certainly had them in California, with those bumper stickers that say, "Fear God." You ever see those? I mean, like, that's going to entice me to go to their church, right? Fear God. If that's what God is, I don't want to have anything to do with it. But what we need to understand is that the concept of a sky God, whether it's the nice one or the mean guy, was created by religious leaders back in the day as a means to help people understand the ununderstandable, got that, but also to keep people bound. I mean, think about this from an early religious leader's perspective. If you want to keep people subservient, if you want people to behave and do what you say, then you create a deity that is all-knowing, all-seeing, gets pissed off sometimes, can reward and punish, and has a plan for your life, and then you say that you're the only one that understands it. Yeah? Okay. And then you make him personal to the people by creating him in your image and likeness. Now, of course, the Bible tells us that we are created in God's image and likeness, right? But isn't it far more likely that we created God in our image and likeness? Do you think it's any coincidence whatsoever that the sky God looks like Abraham and Moses? I mean, seriously. See, that's what their main guy looked like. So that's what's been passed down. But I want you to think about this. Do you really think that the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-seeing source of life is prone to temper tantrums? Isn't it more likely that early man just didn't know what to think about life and creation? So they invented a man god that looked like them, but more powerful and bigger. Now, we say that we honor all faiths and all traditions, so it may sound like I'm being a little bit making fun, and I don't really mean to, but here's where I'm coming from. It doesn't make sense to me that people in 2014 would still have an image of a deity that was created back in the Dark Ages. I mean, times have changed, right? People have changed, cultures changed. We know so much more now about how the world works and how electricity happens and how babies are made and all that other kind of stuff. We have technology that allows us to do things that people in those days would think were miraculous and coming from God, and we do it all of the time. So would you agree with me that it's time to allow God to come into the 21st century? Yes. Can I get an amen? Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. God or life is still a mystery. We can make all the technological advances in the world that we want, but we are still not going to know what it is that makes a heart beat, or a flower grow, or what makes the planets orbit in the sky. Without question, there is this wonderfully mysterious and unknowable essence to life, to God. But part of our purpose for being here at this time is to evolve, is to try to understand more of the divine, of God, beyond that of an ancient patriarch that lives in the sky somewhere. We will never understand all of God. We're not intended to, because as soon as we think we understand something, it's grown and evolved as well. Yeah? You understand that? Yeah. So the more we understand God, the more we evolve, the more we learn, the more we grow. That's how it works. So then the question is, how do we have a personal relationship with a deity or a God or a divinity that isn't a father or a mother figure? Let me show you what Ernest Holmes calls God. Many different things. First cause, spirit, mind, the invisible essence, the ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, the power back of creation. Now, at first blush, these do not lend themselves to that warm and fuzzy feeling that we think of about having a personal relationship. I mean, it's really hard to get all verklempt and emotional and loving and devotional to something called first cause. But when we listen further and we see that he's saying that God is the ultimate stuff and intelligence from which everything comes, well, that's more like it. Because if the energy of the universe is expressing all that there is, it means it's expressing it through us as us. It can't get any more up close and personal than that. Do something for me. Close your eyes. Come on, indulge me. I know some of you are like, I'm not closing my eyes. Close your eyes. You'll be happy you did. I want you to try to get a sense of where you are. Okay? And just feel whether you can feel where you end and that spiritual energy of life begins. Now, you may be able to feel the difference in the temperature or your clothes touching your skin. But going beyond that, see if you can sense where you end and the universe begins. Where the universe ends and you begin. Okay, now come back. Were you able to distinguish the difference between where you end and the universe begins with your eyes closed? No. Probably not, because in reality there is no difference. There is no separation. The reason why we experience separation is because we sense it with our five senses. But when we get rid of our five senses, when we close our eyes, we don't sense the separation. There just is. It just is. Is it making sense? I love this darling story where the fish are swimming in the ocean. And one fish turns to the other and says, "I don't believe in the ocean, do you?" It's everywhere. It is so close. It is so personal. We don't see it because we are it, and it is us. I have a wonderful quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson. I thought it was a Bible quote, but it isn't. And my Emerson students, I know there are several of you here, it is in a poem called Higher Pantheism. Okay, Emerson students? Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote this: "Speak to him, thou, for he hears, and spirit with spirit can meet. Closer is he than breathing, and nearer than hands and feet." Everybody go like this. Now, you know, I never call God he, but I didn't want to change the quote. Closer is he than breathing, and nearer than hands and feet. So how do we experience a personal relationship with this new concept of God? Because what we teach in the Science of Mind is that we experience God in our lives according to our consciousness, according to our awareness. In other words, the more conscious we are, the more aware we are, the more of God we experience, and the more personal it becomes to us. So there are 4 stages of consciousness that illustrates this point very well. Some of you would have heard it from Dr. Michael Beckwith, who was here a few years ago. Several of you met him, or maybe have read his books. But you know, truth is truth, no matter who says it. So the 4 stages of consciousness. The first one is the to-me stage. This is where we are not at all aware of the God within, not at all aware of God. We believe in a force that is outside of us, that is doing things to us. Sometimes they're okay things, but most of the time they're lousy things. Now, be 100% honest. How many of you have looked up at the sky when something was happening, like snow, in September, and say, "God, why are you doing this to me?" Yeah. At this stage, the to-me stage, we feel we have absolutely no control. We have absolutely no choice, and as a result, we have no responsibility for how life shows up for us. We are victims of life. Not a very pleasant place to be, and yet we have all been there. Nod your heads if you've been there. Okay. Don't nod your head if you're there now, because we're going to get you out of it right now. Because you're here. You're at a spiritual center, right? And you're starting to hear that God responds to our thoughts, that there is an energy that actually responds to our thoughts, which brings us to the for me stage. This is where we think that this is what the movie The Secret showed us, right? That there is this giant genie up there somewhere that is there at our disposal that is going to do things for us, right? And we manifest the parking spaces and we get a job. Maybe we find a nice boyfriend or a girlfriend. We go shopping, we find the perfect outfit. It's a pretty cool place to be. We like being in the Foreman. Yeah, bring it on, genie. But it is still believing in something outside of us doing things for us. We may become aware that our thoughts are powerful, but we still don't get it yet. So then we take some classes, we read some books, we go to seminars, we work with a practitioner, we hang out with like-minded people, we become involved in the center by doing volunteer work. Signing up for the casino. And our consciousness of the God within expands because of the work that we're doing. We're doing deep spiritual work at this point. We're starting to really get it. We're really getting that God is within us and it is responding to our thoughts and our beliefs. So now we come to the through me stage. I love the through me stage. I love the idea that there is this spiritual energy that is working through me, using me. I get all warm and cozy inside when I become aware that I am a divine expression of the divine and it is working through me. When my life is really working right and I'm all happy inside, I just know that Spirit is working through me. And yet there's still a tiny little bit of separation there, isn't there? Still a tiny little sense of something outside of us, swooping in to do things through us. Now, a lot of us spend our time, especially people like us, we spend a lot of time in our through me stage. When I was a singer, just before I would get ready to sing my song, my affirmation would be, Spirit, sing through me. I am the instrument. Sing through me. It's nice. Ooh, I like it. It's a pretty conscious place to live. If we could stay in that stage, most of the time our lives would stay on track. And yet, every once in a while, everything's firing on all cylinders. That there is a sense of utter unity and oneness with the divine. We're one with all of life. We enter into the stage of as me. No separation. There is no doubt but that we are experiencing our oneness with God. So instead of God doing something through us or for us, it's having its expression as us. Everybody go like this. For me, it happens when I'm giving a particularly meaningful talk. I'm feeling it right now. Just feel as me that Spirit and I are one, and we are working in unison. Unison, one song. All space and time just disappears. You're in the zone. I also feel it when I get in nature sometimes. In those times, I am experiencing a close and personal relationship with that which made me, that which is me. I would love to spend all my life in that stage. And yet the truth is, we move back and forth. I bought a new computer on Friday. And it was a lemon. It was a lemon. And I sat there for hours trying to get this thing to work, and it was absolutely horrible. And I will admit there were a couple of times when I was feeling very victimized. Victimized by the store, victimized by the makers of it, you know, all that other kind of stuff. I went straight back into to me. It's doing it to me. This computer! And yet, I'm here now, just feeling so connected, not only with my divine, but also connected with each one of you. We go like this, and it's okay, because it's part of our evolution. It's part of why we're here. It's part of our growth. Hopefully, we get to the point where we spend most of our time in through me and as me, because that's where the real juice happens, you know? It's where, And there is no doubt that there is a power that is greater than we are, a creative source that is back of all things. So whether you call it God, or you call it life, or you call it love, or you call it Brahman, or you call it the Tao, or the law, yay, or Jehovah, or Yahweh, or Allah, our great spirit, or the great I am, there is no doubt that it is up close and personal to us, because it is us. I love you, and so it is.